Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the case may be, wherever you're tuning in from for this live episode of REDFELLAS on your Sunday night. People, on your marks, get set, go. Because we are officially in a title race before Christmas. It's just started of December, but today, in my humble opinion, the title race has started. And it's a three-horse race, but we will get into it. What a fantastic Sunday. So much to get through. Primarily, we're only concerned with the Liverpool side of things because we are the REDFELLAS. Four stunning, stunning bangers at Anfield. Four stunning, stunning bangers in front of your screens. Three stunning bangers in front of your screen, and one just old miserly man with a hat and a beard. But choose your stunner. Who's the who of stunners? You're all very welcome. Make sure you like, subscribe, all of that good stuff before we get into it. Liverpool for Fulham Town. Is it Fulham Town? No, Fulham. Just Fulham. Yeah, just Fulham. 3. We're going to get into things all Liverpool. We're going to get into things all Jurgen Klopp substitutions. So many things to talk about. I'm going to take a sip of water because I still haven't calmed down, especially on the back of the City game as well. But I welcome back some familiar faces. As you guys know, last week it was a double pivot of me and Steve holding up the fort. But I think we've got our number 8s and our attacking players in. Evan, how are we?
I'm doing very good. Doing very good. Off is what was it this morning? 6 a.m. kickoff. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. Was gonna go to Kezar Pub to hang out with everybody else from the San Francisco Liverpool Supporters Club, but unfortunately, it just wasn't to be. So I had to do a series of 4 wild and yet silent celebrations. Unfortunately, so.
Yeah,
But I'm happy to be here.
we were just discussing basically for context, people. We were just discussing sort of because some of us have to watch it in different parts of the world and different time zones and different times. Basically, it's not conducive to going mad when goals are going in when it's like 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. and the family's about. So yeah, we were just discussing off the air. Let us know if you're silent celebrators, violent celebrators. Let us know. I think we all can establish us lot on the Red Fellas. I think we're the calmer types, the big dogs. Looking forward to this show as always. Massive victory. What a strike by Maka. Endo, the game changer. Question mark up the Reds. Kingsman says, big up, guys. Big up, Kev. Thank you very much for popping in today. Traveling as usual around the world. Sleep deprived as well. We were just discussing that. How's your life?
Hey, life's doing me well. Yeah, I'm very happy with how things are going at the minute. Yeah, like you said, we're talking about off screen how we watch the games and what our reactions are and so on and so forth. And I was saying that I'm relatively calm watching Liverpool. I feel like I've seen everything before, but today's game tested that. I did fly off the sofa because I watched it at home today. I flew off the sofa a couple of times and it tested my emotions. I was up and down today. And maybe I was rolling back the years a little bit where I let Liverpool control my emotions so much. But that's the sort of, that
It's what they
shows you
do.
that there's
It's what they do
something on
to
the
us.
line. Do you know what I mean? If there was nothing on the line, we wouldn't react this way. So you got to take the good and the bad, and at the minute it's good. So we've got to enjoy it.
Great point about that. Jeopardy. There was something on the line. We feel it in the air. Joseph says even Conroy has 3, 4 layers on. That's how cold it is. Well, Conroy has probably got layers on because he's been traveling all around the world to some of the most hottest climates about. Hello, Conroy. I basically, just to let you know, I don't know if you watched last week's episode, but I basically have demoted you from the James Milner role. I've promoted Steve to the James Milner role of the Red Fellas. Which is only fair. You've been absent for I think 3 weeks now, but you have a very valid reason. You took paid leave and traveled all around the world. How are you? Welcome back.
Yeah, no, I'm good, thanks, Chris. Yeah, it was my friend's wedding in Orlando, and then we made a kind of, Evan would call it a vacation of it as well. We went to Mexico City for a couple of days, and then we went to Tulum in Mexico. So it was great, but to be honest, mate, you're absolutely spot on. I'm feeling the effects of it now. Just feeling a bit run down, but it's probably because of all that traveling and coming back to literal snow in Scotland this weekend. So
Of course,
came
yeah.
back with a vengeance. Literally came back with a vengeance. But no, I'm doing good. And today obviously going to speak about it. Great result, bit of a strange game. I know comments are saying that as well. I don't know if you'll ever see a game like that. You might say that about every game in football, but I don't know if I've ever seen a game where it's literally 4 stunners and you've won a game 4-3 and maybe not created that many clear cut, a few, but not been amazing. That's probably quite a strange game in itself. And to be perfectly honest, I know we're going to get into it, but the way that game was going, I just didn't see that coming towards the end. So listen, at that time, we're saying now it's a massive result. It felt like a big result, but then what happened in the City game? I mean, it's a huge result.
You're right. You know what? I was having so many conversations as you do while the game's going on or when it's finished, and the raw emotions was very prevalent when I said we didn't deserve that, and many were saying, "No, how can you say we didn't deserve that?" And they were throwing stats at me, and I was like, "Oh, I just watched the game. Don't do my head in with stats." And different people had different opinions on the game, and I was like, "I don't give a shit about those stats. I watched that game, and we struggled. It was no control." And then people were saying, "No, but lack of control doesn't mean you didn't deserve to win it." Well, we're going to try to get into it. We're going to give our opinions and see where we stand. Ev, I'll come to you because it was very, very important. We all, to a man, woman, dog, fridge, glass of water, said that on the back of the City result, on the back of the effort that we put in at City and the attitude and the energy and the desire we showed at Man City, it was imperative. It was imperative that we continue that, even in a game that 100% people would have expected us to walk through. Football just doesn't always work like that, does it?
No. And it's a changing trend, I think, in the Premier League. I'm gonna take this one step further. I think a few years ago, a team like Fulham Town, as they are now known.
Yeah,
I think I don't know if they would have come to Anfield and tried to press Liverpool, but the teams sort of in the mid-table areas and further down the table, they do try to press Liverpool. You know, just sort of the park the bus and sort of sit approaches used by as recently as Benitez at Newcastle in the Premier League. You don't really see that anymore. So what it takes to go against the lower half opposition these days, it's a definition of a game state that I think is changing. So inherently, Grizz, you know, we all know the sport. You never know what to come from the sport itself. But there's all these sort of changing trends in Premier League that I've been noticing recently. And I think of Fulham teams of just in the last few years that have come up with more or less the same personnel, and they've set up quite differently. So yeah, it's a curious sport that we devote so much time and energy to. But yeah, you really never know what to expect. You know, it's a crazy league, especially.
I like Marco Silva, guys. I think he's a very good coach. I think he's a very astute coach. I think he's done a very good job everywhere he's been, except
been relatively successful against Klopp as well too, Chris. He's been a tough test for multiple clubs.
For sure. And someone mentioned earlier on that the last time there was this much feverish celebration, Cav, can anyone recall the last time we celebrated like this against a silver team, and what was the occasion?
Everton, the Pickford Origi, the Pickford mistake, Origi, and then Klopp runs on the Alisson on the pitch.
Well, yeah. There you go. So I'll skip Cav. I'll come to you, Conroy.
Sorry.
Because you win the prize. No, you win the prize. You won. I said, does anyone remember?
Whoa! No one said there was a prize. I mean, I just.
Oh, so you would have answered if there was a prize?
I was being a teammate. I was just letting it. You know, I stepped over the ball. It went through to Conroy. He touched it in.
Okay. So you knew.
No,
you remembered.
Feel free. I didn't know.
Conroy, that was the last time there was scenes of crazy celebration, and obviously that was the season we actually went on to win the league, didn't we? Did we win the league in that? Divock Origi 90 plus. Which one was it? In fact, I've got it No, I haven't got it here.
Is that the Champions League winning season?
That was 18-19.
Okay. But look, he came with a game plan. Was it down to us not being at 100% best before we get into proceedings, or some credit to Marco Silva and the way he set up his team?
Yeah, no, I agree with Evan. I think he's a very good manager. I think he's got 3 draws against Klopp and 1 win. I think that was at Hull City
Oh.
in his first when he kind of took over. I know they got relegated. I actually remember a lot of people criticising the credit he got because they still got relegated. But I think he is a good manager. He's shown tactically that he has got a lot of skills, adaptability, and again, he's also been quite unlucky with a few results against big teams as well. They've maybe performed quite well and not got the result. You think of the FA Cup game against United last year, and Tom Mitrovic gets sent off. They're outplaying United in that game. So he's definitely a good coach. And I think you could look at that Fulham team, and to be perfectly honest, guys, sometimes you'd say it's a decent team, but it's not amazing. They definitely tactically do a lot better. He's one of their pivotal members of that squad, is having him as their manager. So I'm always impressed with Marco Silva, to be honest. I think I've never thought he was a bad manager. And I think he may be one of them that stays in the Premier League for a long time, because even if it doesn't work out with Fulham, I feel like he'd be in the top 5 of certain managers for maybe mid-table to the bottom of the league who'd take him. So I think he's a good manager. I think it's a bit of both today. I know we're going to get into it. I think definitely we weren't fully at the races, but credit where it's due. I think they came with a game plan and nearly executed it perfectly, to be perfectly honest, because I know we're going to get into it, but when I never pronounce his name properly, but when they scored the third goal, I'm fearing the worst. And then that actually came through Silva's subs, because he brought 2 on. So you could argue that his plan was nearly worked out perfectly. But as a coach, I think he deserves a lot of credit, but I don't think we were at the races today as well.
Hassan says, hit the likes, people. Oh, and let me tell you, we are right in this title race. Enjoy, Redman. And he sends lovely 3 hearts. Should send 4, really, because where's mine? I know the other 3 are for the other 3, but where's mine? But he's right. Hit the likes button, people. It doesn't cost you a thing. It helps me with the algorithm so much. So smash that like button before we continue, people. That would be amazing. I'm going to share the team lineups, and Cav, come to you. Did you expect this team? Let me get it up properly. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so did you expect this team when it was announced, whenever it was announced? 6 changes. I think the key one always we look to is who plays at left back, but I think Tsimikas, obviously, on the back of his last 2 performances, keeps his role. Matip ahead of Konate, it seems. Obviously, we will get into it. He picked up an injury. And then I think the Gravenberch over Curtis Jones is the other key one, I'd say. Gravenberch deserved to start. Was you worried about the imbalance of the team when Gravenberch tends to start? Because I might want to get into that. Maybe not.
Yeah, well, as it turns out, Fulham were a tough test today, but going into the game, I thought it was one that would be, whatever team we put out should have been capable of winning. And I thought we won't make too many changes. I think we'd go as strong as possible. And in my opinion, this is the strongest lineup we have available to us at the minute. So I was expecting it and happy to see it. But even if he decided to sort of swap Nunes for Gakpo, or he put Endo in there and trialed him in a Premier League game and stuff, I still feel we should have had enough to beat this Fulham side. But it's pretty expected, these guys now, and just on Gravenberch in particular, because like you say, it's probably a toss-up between him and Curtis Jones at the moment. And I think he's played really well since he's come in, and I think his game's developing. I think he's so dynamic in midfield. I think especially on receiving the ball, he seems to have a turn on him. He can take an opposition player out of the game. He can reverse passes. He's so tight, neat and tidy. He can drive with the ball. He's just very, very effective in the middle of the park, and he seems to just create space for others. So that's the sort of guy that you want to enable the forwards to get time on the ball in space, so they can go and do the damage, as well as contributing with goals and assists from midfield as well. So I personally think he's played his way in there, and I've really liked his development since he's come into Liverpool. So it was warranted for me. And I hope he continues to get those minutes of football. We'll probably talk about him in particular later on in the game. I'm not too sure he can sustain a performance for 90 minutes just yet, but I think certainly for the best part of the game, he's a really positive player to have in the side. So I was happy that he was in there, and the rest picked themselves. There may be an argument, Gakpo with his 2 goals earlier in the week, to put in there, but he's not started the season particularly well, and I don't think one performance against Lask, where he's contributed with the goals, even though he has contributed already this season, is enough to get him in ahead of Nunes, in my opinion, because Nunes is in form and he has been playing well. and been affecting that team positively. Although I think he's not scored in 5 now, I think I'm right in saying, but we see the impact he has when he's playing in this side. So the lineup for me, like I say, was expected. I was happy with it, and although we started to pick up a few injuries here and there, which isn't helpful going into this sort of Christmas period, we still can make changes off the bench as we'd seen sort of in this game.
Super chat from Amir. Thank you very much. He says, wins like this remind me of our previous title winning year. Too soon? Question mark. Anyway, it's been a while since my last super chat. You never walk alone. Thank you very much for that. Too soon? Significant victories like this, Evan? Does it give you we're getting to the game. Look, Sunday afternoon kickoffs aren't always the best. A lot of my friends went today and they were talking about the weather it was already dark at 2 p.m. kind of thing. You know, imagine that. It's lunchtime and it's already dark and gloomy, and moods need to be lifted. Liverpool needs to make a fast start. It was a kind of frantic start from the very offset. Like you said, Fulham didn't come to just park the bus. Fulham actually came to play, press very high. Normally we pick off teams like that like to do that. We prefer teams that come to press us because we believe in breaking the lines, especially with Trent in the inverted role. But they gave as good as they got in the opening exchanges, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I thought both sides were trying to play with a quick tempo. You know, at times we had to be patient and sort of pass the ball around the back, but there definitely seemed to be an onus on getting the ball into the attacking third as quickly as possible. And I thought we were doing a good job at that. It wasn't just sort of an endless array of passes exchanged between Matip and Van Dijk. We were getting to the third of the pitch that we wanted to be in pretty easily, and by extension, they also on the rare occasions they were able to counter and hurt us. They were able to do that pretty efficiently too. So I thought both sides, this is just how I perceived it, we're executing their game plan to a pretty high level. 4 goals on the score sheet for us in totality, could have been much more if we had scored the straightforward ones. So that tells me that we were doing a pretty good job at creating an abundance of chances, which is what you want Liverpool to do at home against so-called lesser opposition. But I was really impressed with, we've already put some praise on Marco Silva's name already today, but I have to do it again because I think he's an expert at using the personnel that he has. I look at the type of players that I would perhaps maybe not want to go up against, who are going to play conservatively, but also they're going to try to match Liverpool physically. Raul Jimenez has given us problems at Wolves in the past. Willian for multiple clubs. Harry Wilson, dead ball specialist. So the opening blows that were being exchanged, I was wary of the quality of both teams, and after the first 20 minutes, I'll just end by saying I sort of thought we were going to be looking at a high scoring game.
Yeah, 20 minutes is exactly the time, Cav, it takes for us to take the lead. After those opening exchanges Evans described, not much control. Bit like it's funny how many times we've discussed Liverpool Klopp 2.0, Liverpool 2.0, but it's so reminiscent of his first kind of team that he built, the team with Lallana and Cole. Like, that was just mad, right? How many games? This reminded me of the Norwich City game. Do you remember? Away from home, and Jurgen Klopp's glasses come off in the celebration. I don't know if you know what I mean. I think he lost them or something. Anyway, but I mean the opening goal, and it's a Trent goal. Whoever, we're not here to, we don't care about the stats and what the statisticians say. To us, it's a goal. It's a Trent goal. Is an amazing free kick. I thought Trent was on it from the start. His passes, the pitch, kind of that wet, slippery surface suited him. You knew how he had to, he could ping that ball across that wet surface. I thought he was on it from the start. There was only one man who was going to take that free kick once it was placed. You could tell. I know Szoboszlai is probably eager to get involved these days. Maybe McAllister as well. Mo's always lurking, but I think he knows his role when it comes to free kicks. Relax, Mo.
Yeah,
But
imagine never scoring a free kick, never coming close, but getting to stand next to it. That does my head in.
It irks me to no end. Like I will burn all of my Liverpool jerseys if anybody but Trent Alexander-Arnold ever takes a dangerous set piece. Maybe Szoboszlai can win me over. But...
Yeah, Szoboszlai maybe. Yeah, so as I said, Szoboszlai with his tractor foot maybe. But look, good play to get the free kick. Szoboszlai cuts inside. Paulinho was going around showing what we could have had. I thought he was very good throughout the game. But yeah, Trent's just on the back of Man City's the crazy crucial crucial goal against Man City. He follows up with the opening goal, and you think, yeah, we should be controlling the game from it. Because what a free kick!
Oh, incredible free kick, and I don't know about you guys, but certainly when we won the free kick and he was stood over it, as many free kicks as Trent has scored, and as many times as he at least gets on target and test the keeper. I didn't think it would go in. I just thought he's on the right side of the goal. He's a right footer. It's got to come back in if he's going to put some curl on it. But he gets it to almost perfection, and it hits the underside of the bar and obviously comes off Leno. It will chalk down as an own goal, unfortunately. But it's an incredible strike. And, the game was a funny start, because one thing I think that the next step for this Liverpool team, one thing I've kind of been hoping to see is carrying a bit of momentum from game to game. I feel like Liverpool start the game finding their way into the game, start a little bit slow and build, and are often better in the second half, in my opinion, than the first. And one thing I wanted us to do after having good results, and especially like beating a team 4-0 earlier in the week, albeit the quality that Lask are, is just carry that momentum through to the next game, to carry that confidence through, start the game on the front foot, start the game positively. I understand you don't want to go out gung-ho and cost yourself, shoot yourself in the foot. But at the same time, I do want us to start the game a bit more positively, with a bit more, a bit more impetus about us. And it was difficult because I think Leno gets, I think Salah puts the ball in the back of the net after Diaz's shot, and he catches Leno as well. Leno is down for, I think it was about 7-8 minutes, and the game come to a halt. So it was difficult for the rhythm to pick up. But once it did pick up, we started to pluck passes around. Like you say, Trent's getting on the ball. He's spraying the passes. He's coming in midfield. Fulham were pressing really well, but when that press was slightly off, there was acres of space for people in the midfield who had the quality to exploit it. And when it reaches Szoboszlai on that right-sided position on the edge of the 18-yard box, it looked like the obvious pass was to go out wide to Salah. But that's what this new Liverpool team can do, is not always play the obvious pass, do the unreadable, which is step inside and change the angle of the attack. And it's a great little touch. He actually lifts it over the player's leg and chops inside.
He's quite good at that. He does that quite often.
He's very good at that.
That's quite a signature move of his. Already I'm picking up little signature moves. You're right. Chopping inside, but putting the elevation on the ball is quite his move. So to avoid that block.
Exactly. And when the whole team, the balls worked from left to right, it stayed down the right. All of Fulham are sort of players of opposition, defense is moving over to the right, and they're all focusing, and they know the obvious threat of Salah. That's where they're all expecting it to go. Their body shape is lined up for the ball to go out there. So when he chops inside, it's changing that whole angle of attack. And as long as our players are on the same wavelength, then that's really exciting. That's where our chances are being created, and that's what this new dynamic midfield is offering us. But he gets brought down with a brilliant bit of skill. Trent just does the rest, and it's incredible. And the first goal is always important in the game. But it weren't too long ago that Liverpool were in this bad sort of pattern of just conceding the first goal in almost every week. So to get the first goal was crucial, because I'm with Evan. I thought it was a game, because of how both sides were sort of approaching it, that could have goals. So it was important that we could be the team that at least got that first one to control proceedings if we could. And we've seen it, especially against Villa earlier in the season, that at Anfield, we're capable of that. We're capable of controlling a game, So first goal, crucial, and it was immaculate. And it's not a surprise with a man like Trent and the quality he has in that foot.
That's 3 goals now in 2 games. Obviously, we're going to get onto the second goal, Conroy, but that free kick, I was speaking to you guys before we went, and I said, what does that remind you of? To me, it reminded me of the Beckham free kick against Greece. I don't know if you guys were bothered or remember it or gave a shit, but it was very similar-esque. He's got the talent and the skill set and the technique to score far more. Do you think we always look for catalysts and turning points or moments where you think they've arrived? Now we know Trent's arrived as a footballer for Liverpool anyway, but do you think Trent's coming towards that where because 100 goals and assists the other day? I know he's improved that even more now. 100 goals and assists for Liverpool Football Club. That's quite some going, Conroy. That is quite some going.
Yeah, he's not far off catching Andy Robertson's stats, so I just want to add that in as well, because there's a big thing about Trent. Andy Robertson's got 114 goals and assists for a left back, so just wanted to add that in. You know, I know it's the narrative.
When you actually deep that's crazy. That's crazy going. But obviously Trent scored more, so
yeah, no, well, yeah, definitely. Actually, I don't think he has. I think Andy Robertson's got 21 goals. He must be close to that trend, but like, it's not all been in the Premier League.
Andy Robertson.
Not for Liverpool, not just for Liverpool. He scored 3 goals for Scotland.
Yeah, I'm talking about for Liverpool.
Yeah, well, I think Trent, that was club and country. Those stats. It's not just Liverpool.
Club and country.
So I'm going to use that. If it suits for Trent's narrative, I'll suit it for a left back who played for Dundee United when he was 20. Let's just remember that. Okay? But on that, Trent.
Hold on, some breaking news. We're not going to get any likes until apparently Evan. Can you correct Grizz and Cav on Sabos?
How are y'all saying it?
Sabozalai. That's what I was saying.
That's
what
are
you saying?
Sobosly.
Because he said no like buzz until you pronounce Dom's surname correctly.
It's not Sobosly. It's just Sobosly. Three syllables.
Sobosly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sobosly.
Got it.
Cav's got it. All right.
Got it. Now hit the like button.
Yeah, hit the like button now. All right. Sorry, Con.
No, yeah, but on Trent, he's just he has got that, and I think the comparison with Beckham, I get it. I think it's fitting as well because he's obviously got the Predis on, the David Beckham, the kind of retro Predis as well. And you can say the Man United thing if you want, but if you actually just watch Beckham, he's a passing ability on the ball. It is just outstanding. So obviously Trent, there's a bit of I don't know. He feels like I'm going to wear these. I think the first game was against City. He wore the retro Predis. It is a bit of a not I'm here, Grizz, but I get what you're saying. It's a bit like, I don't know if it's because he's in maybe positions now because he's been flexible, sometimes been inverted, so he's maybe in more positions where he can shoot. But then you can maybe look at in certain title winning seasons where he did have opportunities as well. But I feel like he's definitely got that confidence now. I know we're going to speak about the winning goal, but to me that's more of a sign of that than the free kick because, as Evan said, he's probably our go-to free kick specialist. He's going to do that. But the goal at the end, that's a kind of I'm here moment. Like what's the word? The catalyst, is that the right word? The difference maker. And I think a lot of rival fans probably watched that today and saw that as well. But on the actual goal, yeah, I think kind of reminded me of Beckham at Old Trafford. I think it was against Madrid as well. He scored so many for United, but that goal from being on your own side, being right-footed and just whipping it so it just dips at the last minute, he was an expert at that. So yeah, I think it's outstanding. But I have to say right now, that goal last weekend, I wasn't on the show obviously, but I think getting a goal in a massive match against Man City, everyone's favourite to win the title, felt like that was a moment to say, I can step up, and then to follow that up with scoring the winner in this game, crazy.
Massive, it's massive. Look, we get the early goal, and 20 minutes in, and you think to yourself, all right, this is where we take control. Fulham are here for a game of football. They're not too bothered about relegation. They're not really too bothered to get into the sort of Europa spots at this stage. They're here to just test themselves, and they were playing bravely. When you look through that lineup, I was not worried about Harry Wilson, but it was absolutely in my mind, don't let him shoot. Don't give him a chance to strike the ball clean. Because what we know of Harry Wilson, above anything else, is a clean striker of the ball. And it starts from us. Virgil decides he's Joe Matip and goes on a marauding run upfield. We lose possession. And before we can get really, really organised, they kind of break down our left. And it's the kind of goal we've conceded quite a bit. And we usually blame Trent for that kind of goal in that role. I'm not blaming Trent this time round, but there should have been better communication between Virgil running back shouting at Matip and Trent and possibly McAllister to fill that void, because I don't think we ever reorganized ourselves after Virgil was still getting back.
Yeah, obviously, fingers will be pointed at the goalkeeper, who I think has not shown the form that saw him peak in 21-22 as a fantastic backup in our domestic cup runs and some Champions League fixtures as well. But for me, my biggest issue, my hair pulling issue, was we're caught in transition with our right back inverted doing midfield duties. All good. It's going to happen. It's going to happen probably at least once or twice a game, no matter the opposition. But neither McAllister nor Matip go in to say, I am now right back for the next 15 or however many seconds. They're very slow to do it. There's no communication. I don't see them open their mouths at each other. That for me was the hair pulling moment. Sometimes, hold on, I'm going to use some cricket terminology here. Sometimes you shoot at the goalkeeper's feet, it goes through the wicket, singular, wickets, plural. I don't know. Sometimes you shoot low. You do the cricket thing, and the keeper doesn't save it. It happens to the best keepers. But in transition,
I'm so sorry. Because I wanted to bring on the Kelleher chat. He didn't cover himself in glory.
No.
But that particular goal, it's a bit, I don't know, harsh.
No, it's one of those I would file under. He'd like to have that one back. And anytime a keeper can get a limb to the ball, they're going to think they should have saved it. These are professionals at the end of the day. They hold themselves to high standards. But again, I've seen every keeper in the world let in a few because they just go right between his legs and it's just awkward trying to save. That for me, I'm like, would prefer it if he had saved that. But for me, the thing that they're going to be looking at in film when they dissect this game and look at where they could have exhibited better control comes back to a phrase that's garnered a lot of popularity on the internet in the last few years or so, rest defense. What does your defense look like when you immediately after you turn over the ball? And obviously, like I said, that's going to happen a lot with Trent inverted. It's going to happen a lot with Trent marauding into the box now. That's going to happen with him being anywhere else except where a traditional right-sided fullback should be. So we need to have a better contingency plan. There needs to be better understanding between Matip and McAllister. McAllister, yeah, you're a newish signing, but you need to, I would like to see some better chemistry at this point. So yeah, I would just like to see a more seamless plan where it's like, okay, in this situation, if we turn over the ball, Salah becomes the right back, which he occasionally does. In this situation, when we turn over the ball, the 6 becomes the right back, whoever that is, McAllister, Endo, Gravenberch on the day. Yeah, I would just like to see more recognizable patterns of play in what we do when we turn over possession, because right now it just seems to be plug the gaps, sort of sink or swim type mentality when we're defending transitions. I'd just like for it to be a little more coordinated.
I actually tweeted, Cav, that I think that's the kick up the backside we needed, because I felt for the first time this season, Cav, I think it's the first time I've felt this. I might have felt it before, but I've got to be honest to myself. Did I feel it before? Or was it the first time? I think it's the first time I felt this. I felt we got a bit cocky. I thought we got a bit arrogant after the Trent free kick. We thought this is going to be very easy run of the mill afternoon, like we all predicted or wanted to be, just a comfortable 2-3-0, and we go home and concentrate on the 2 difficult away trips, or for us. But it was anything but, and I thought it was the catalyst, or it would have been the catalyst to go again and really focus. And just a few minutes later, I don't know how this move builds up, but it ends up sort of on the edge of the box. And I think you was talking about how we've got different options now. We don't have to circulate the ball again and again and again, go out wide, come in again, Trent look for we have got sharp, serious shooters now. And we know from his time at Brighton, he scored 10 goals last season from midfield. We know this guy loves scoring a goal. And what a goal.
Yeah, and just before I talk about the goal, or we talk about the goal, I'd just say I felt Liverpool today after conceding the goal, we fell into a little bit of a trap for me where we tried to be a little bit too direct. I think we tried to move the ball between the lines too quick, and often the passes, although accurate at times, and was getting Nunes in and getting Salah in behind and stuff, was giving the ball back a lot to Fulham. And I like that they're taking the risk of trying to find the forwards that quickly and be that direct. But sometimes if the pass hasn't made it for the third time, perhaps just try to build up a little bit slower. Try just work your way and get more numbers around the 18-yard box and be a bit more intricate around the box. But I felt like today I fell into a little bit of a trap of being a bit direct and also just not shooting at will, because we were in okay positions to shoot. But after you've had, almost every forward taking a shot from outside the 18-yard box, maybe just try and reverse it back out wide or try something a little bit different. But, I've been asking for our midfielders to shoot for so long, and it felt like today they listened to me and they all bloody tried it. But this was one occasion that...
And Diaz too. I thought Diaz was taking a lot of shots today. Unusual for him to take that many shots.
Yeah, I thought so. And I just wanted to see a little bit more intricacy around the 18-yard box. I'm all for taking shots, and most of them are on target, in fairness. And we do need that element of our game, because the keeper can spill it, or just lets Fulham know, look, you're going to have to get out to us. Otherwise, we're just going to keep having shots on target. I get all of that, but I felt it just was a little bit too much one way, and we should have been a bit more intricate. But this goal that comes about, was I don't know if any of us expected it when he hit it. I mean, for me, it was like shades of Salah a little bit against Chelsea in the title-winning season.
Oh, great comparison.
Yeah, obviously on the other side,
yeah,
a little bit further wide, but just
definitely
the ball's sitting up and it's asking to be hit. But because McAllister's not really been, he's not been that guy for us. He's not been one that takes shots from far out for us. He's not really getting that far forward, because obviously he's playing the sixth position. So when he hits it, it's completely took me by surprise. But when you see the ball just traveling and it's traveling and it's traveling, you're thinking it's getting almost like slow motion. And then once it hits sort of the top corner, it's just, euphoria. It's just unbelievable. And you just think, how have we all just witnessed Trent hit a free kick like that, followed up by another goal of the season, possibly in the same game? It's incredible. And it's exactly what we needed to get back ahead. But it was a total shock, but an incredible hit. It almost stayed central and swerved
until
as it was traveling. And, that tells you that the power and the accuracy was inch perfect, because any more power, any less power is flying here, there and everywhere. But yeah, incredible goal. I'm not sure we'll score a better one for us, to be honest with you.
Pixelate Pigeon, just literally, I was going to ask Conroy, the technique is mind-blowing. I was actually going to literally say that, Con, because the technique is mind-blowing. That is a strike of a person who absolutely believes in his technique. And also, does it indicate where his strengths lie? Now, I know with the same conversation we're kind of having until we buy a DM or until Endo plays more regularly, but are we utilizing McAllister the best we can? Because this is what he's capable of. We've already touched upon, he scored 10 goals for Brighton last season. He's a not final third player, I guess, but he's a progressive player. But that's where Klopp wants him, though. Klopp wants him to be progressive from the base. But he's capable of doing this. And like Cav says, he's not had too many opportunities to do this because he's so deep in the play. He doesn't want to get caught ahead of the ball too much. Where do you stand in this debate?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting you say that, because actually about 5 minutes when I was rewatching the game before we came on, about 10 minutes before, that thought did occur to me. I was thinking, you can have two different conversations. You can say this guy's got a good ability here, he can do a really good job for us as well. But a bit like the first goal we conceded, Anthony Robinson, who had a really good game again, plays that ball to Wilson, and I'm just thinking in my head, and maybe I shouldn't, but I'm thinking, if that's a DM who's been there all his career, versed in it, or just at a high level, does he read that and it doesn't get to Wilson? But maybe that's me overthinking. I just think, I know, go back to the Argentina World Cup and last season, I just think he offers so much in that kind of 8 position. I just think he really is a superb player there. I just feel that, I might be wrong, but as a 6, he can do a really good job. I just don't know if it's his best position. Right now, I'd say I don't think it is. Doesn't mean he's bad at being a 6 at all or being in that double pivot. Just my personal opinion. But then again, Klopp might view it that until he gets someone that he believes can really, really push us on as a sixth, to challenge for a title, then we'll just keep doing what we're doing there, and that's fine. But I think when you actually kind of debrief what he done for Brighton and what he done for Argentina, getting assist in that World Cup, and if you watch that full campaign as well, he offers a lot in the kind of that 8 position to really break down defences. But for the moment, listen, we're second, you can't complain. But I don't think this will be the last time we speak about this topic. I would finish on that.
Yeah, it's not. Well, the conversation is going to rage, isn't it? As I said, until we buy a more definitive, prominent number 6, but we may not buy a prominent, definitive number 6. This may be the way forward, and Klopp believes in it. Ev, surely now we control proceedings. We've had a little kick up the backside with the Harry Wilson goal. We've got ourselves back in it. We're creating chances, but I think our choice of shot or selection of shot or timing of shot is a bit off. I think I agree with Cav. We're a bit eager to pull the trigger today, and then we concede before half time. It's a crazy old 45 minutes, and it's ended with the most scrappiest goal, reminiscing of sort of Mignolet and Karius days. I see Mignolet and Karius, visions and images of Mignolet or Karius scrambling to get the ball off the line after they've done an absolute cock up of epic proportions. Kelleher, defenders, set up. Where are you with this?
Raul Jimenez is never, he's not the biggest guy in the world. You could classify him as sort of a target sort of player. He's an outlet, I would say, but for him to sort of ghost into the box and get a free header down, because I think he gets the header down. It's Tete who I think puts it over the line, the fullback, but I cannot imagine how Raul Jimenez is getting a free header in the box. Like, he is completely uncontested. It was really kind of doing my head in. I really did not like that one bit. Well, let's park that for a second. If the first one from Kelleher was he'd like to have that one back type of category, this is like you said, Karius and Mignolet of yesteryear, specific. You got very specific with your trauma there.
But
our
just,
trauma.
Just that image, Ev.
No, 100%.
We've seen that image of scrambling the ball off the line, like after they've been wrong-footed or something,
and finding a way to make yourself smaller.
Yeah,
in the frame of the goal. Like, it's so crazy to me that Mignolet was like, I'm always reminded he was like 6'4" or 6'5" or something. I'm like, no,
unbelievable.
No, there's just no way that man, because he played like he was, all due respect, I mean, he played like he was like 5'8". He played like he was a keeper of a smaller stature, and this was kind of a similar thing. This is weird. I watched the goal back a few times before I came on, and it's a timing thing for Kelleher. He puts himself on the deck too quickly. You know what I mean? Because it ends up being sort of like a fluffed poke towards him, but he's committed to going to ground really easily, so his timing is kind of off, and it's indicative of a guy who was kind of panicking. You know what I mean? When keepers sort of just do that, they rush out too quickly, they go to ground too quickly, they're panicking, they're nervous. Not indicative of a guy full of confidence, and that's a bit depressing, because you want, if there's one thing you want your backup keeper to be, he's no Alisson Becker, but you want him to think he kind of is. You know what I mean? You want him to think that he can rise to that sort of level. So for him to make a mistake where his body language is betraying sort of a lack of self-belief, or just, kind of just flustered, I didn't like that. Anytime a goalkeeper sort of, like you said, crawling back towards the line, desperately trying to claw the ball away.
It's not pretty.
It's not pretty, and it's usually indicative of a goalkeeper who's just made a mistake. And that's kind of what it is. However, the defenders in front of him did him absolutely zero favors. This is a really low quality goal to concede. It's the type of goal that, I don't know, Macclesfield score against you in the early rounds of the Carabao Cup, when you have your academy kids playing. It's just not a goal we should be conceding at the Kop end. in the Premier League. And, you know, listen, a goal's a goal at the end of the day. But we all know the manner in which certain things happen in the sport is often the context in the result that we look at. So, yeah, that one left a bitter taste. Absolutely.
Cav, we nearly conceded a third before halftime. We actually do, but it's deemed offside. It is offside. So just very quickly, in terms of the Kelleher chat, we've had Evan's opinion, just used to his opinions on the Kelleher situation right now. It's a tricky one where I say stuck with him. We used to glorify him having a brilliant backup, but we've got him for a few weeks still now. And we were hoping that after the clean sheet against Lask, you know, would have done him a few favours. Even the save that he makes, he parries it into the middle of the goal for the offside goal. Is it a confidence thing now? Does he look? He doesn't look like a very confident keeper to you, does he? Can he turn it around? He needs to, because he's going to get bombarded against Sheffield United in terms of hopefully not in terms of shots and chances, but in terms of just aerial bombardment. And Crystal Palace will definitely do the same at their ground. We need him to stand up.
Oh, he has to stand up. He has to stand up, because after getting what I would say is a good point at the Etihad and then getting these 3 points, albeit dogged and not the way we would like today, we have to follow up. You know, we have to go away to Sheffield United. We have to go to Palace. We have to keep going. We're second in the league right now, but these are games we all expect to win and by no means expect to draw or even worse, lose. So he has to step up. He will be challenged in these games, just like Alisson is. As good as we play on every game, Alisson has to make a save, usually one-on-one, but he has to pull it out. And so Kelleher's got to do the same. He's got to step up if we're going to remain in this title challenge, even this early on. Trying to judge his body language, it's very difficult because he's a slight guy. You know, he's always looked pretty calm when I've seen him play. When he's on the ball's at his feet and he's passing out from the back, he looks calm. He doesn't panic. You know, actually at times he was a bit too calm. I've seen Virgil sort of getting a little bit angry at him. He's asking him to move it quicker, but that's okay. You can live with that if that's what you're going to pick out as a fault. But it is the going to ground early. It is the making himself smaller, like Evan says. And whenever there's a couple of occasions that happened today, whenever there's a shot that slightly goes wide of the post, or you know, is flying towards goal, unless it's straight at him or it's within his sort of reach that you'd expect, you don't expect anything better, really. You don't expect him to pull off the wonder saves. You don't expect him to get you out of that hole, because he's already committed. You know, if the amount of times this guy's probably conceded a deflected goal because he's already dived, and actually if he'd have stayed on his feet and timed it a bit better, he could have just stood there and received the ball the other way. But I don't know. I've never been a keeper. I've never coached keepers. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's a lack of playing or if that's even a thing for goalkeepers. But it seems to be that when the questions asked and the game's moving at a normal game pace, he just doesn't seem to be that commanding, quite like Alisson does. You know, when you watch Alisson, you know, when we talk about strikers, you get in front of goal, try and slow things down and be composed. A similar respect for goalkeepers. Try and just slow the frame down. Try and slow what's happening around you down so you can make the save, you can time things properly. Forget about all the players that are in your periphery, concentrate on where the man is with the ball and the ball's trajectory. And I feel like he just doesn't judge all of that particularly well in a game pace. So he's got to improve for me. I thought he could have done better today. Whether it's a confidence thing, I don't know. I just think that's maybe his level, to be honest with you. I just think that's his quality. You know, he's a good keeper, good with the ball at his feet, but he isn't going to pull out any sort of anything wonderful, you know, or unexpected.
Con, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just think today, to be honest, I think Kelleher's got credit in the bank. I've got to be honest, I think we're forgetting that he did have quite a good run of games, like he stepped up. I think today is just, first one's a point blank shot that is terrible defending. So most keepers would say, how am I facing a point blank shot 8 yards out? That should never happen in professional football.
Is it post though? That first goal, is it his front post? And I get it's quick, and I get that he runs.
No, but I'm saying he should do better, yeah. But what I mean is, he'll be thinking he's doing better, right? Then the second one, so he's not having a good day. So I think his confidence is absolutely shot with that. I will say though, I do think you have not looked at that offside goal. That is a fantastic save. I don't know if you've rewatched it. Like, if that goes in, it's not going to be offside because the header's onside. You say he pushes it back. I've rewatched it. That is a very good save. Like, that is bounced high. It's not a good height. It looks like it's nestling in the side corner, and he saves that. I actually think that's quite a big save in this game, because if that goes in, Fulham are 3-2 at half time, that changes things. So I think he does deserve credit for that. I think we're being a bit too quick here. The guy's a second goalkeeper. He's turned up a lot for us. He's had a bad game today. Move on. Alisson had a bad game, conceded against Man City. We don't throw him out the bathwater. It's the same with second keeper. I just think it's a bit too reactionary. I've seen it with like put Adrian and stuff like that. Guys had a bad game. It happens. You know, Nunes has missed 10 open goals this season. He's still going to play. I'm not going to just suddenly chuck him out. I just think he's fine. He does a good job. I think he's just had a bad game today.
Is it a case of we're so used to eliteness?
No, not eliteness.
100%.
No, not eliteness.
Oh,
No, that's wrong. We're used to the best, not eliteness.
Yeah, he's elitist.
And defensively, Alisson makes up for us having poor games, because as Cav said, it happens far too often for a top team. I would say that it does. He has to make wonder saves far too often one-on-one than I think a lot of other teams do. He has to do it far more than he really should, to be honest. And because he is the best top 5 Premier League keepers, possibly the number 1, I think, when he finishes his career, we're used to that level. I just think second's never going to be close to that, you know, and that's all I'm saying. Listen, if Kelleher plays 5 games and is absolutely horrible, I'll be in complete agreement. I think he's got a bit of credit in the bank. That's all I'm saying.
I don't disagree. I've criticized Kelleher a few times in the last few months, but I don't disagree with what Conroy said. Part of our disappointment in Kelleher
agree with Conrad. It's not Conroy. It's Conrad, by the way. It's Conrad, by the way. It's not Conrad.
Oh yeah, Conrad. Sorry, Conrad. It's it's got more.
He makes a great point. He still can't get the plaudits.
Conrad has a bit more bite than Conroy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's just got
He goes to Mexico. He goes to Mexico for a couple of weeks. He's Conrad.
Conrad. He's just a chiller.
Shit,
just
man.
like more. He's just like he's vibier than Conroy. But yeah, I mean, is there a fan base in world football that gets less nervous when an opposition player goes in one-on-one on their starting keeper than us? Like we have been used to that dude. The amount of one-on-ones he saves is just ridiculous. So yeah, we hold perhaps Kelleher to some unrealistic expectations. But you know, the level has dropped a bit. But like Conroy said, I think that was a certain goal off the corner. I think that's an incredible save that Alisson himself would be proud of. So I will exercise some restraint when criticizing Kelleher in the future with this perspective.
Total Eclipse says, guys, get the likes up. You're getting quality content. The content hasn't stopped. We're only at half time, people. It's 2-2 at half time, 4 goals, 3 more amazing, sensational, stunning, controversial goals to come. But it's half time. And that means it's time to talk about our channel sponsors. Guys, the perfect Christmas gift for any sports fan, really. Anything to do with your player cards, your FUT cards, your metal player art, your metal player moments. Check them out, guys. These guys are doing tremendous stuff. Look at the testimonies of some people. Great quality of cards, fair prices, fast shipment, good contact with your FUTcard.com. This is Walter Nadlinger. Diogo says, I recommend your FUT card. It was fast to come to Portugal, even on Christmas time. The quality and designs are amazing. Cheaper than all the sites I looked at. Fast delivery and the metal cards are amazing. One happy child. And there's some examples. You guys can obviously see my one in the background as well. Go check them out, guys. Not only do they do the FIFA cards, as I said to you, do they do the metal art cards as well. We're going to need one of Trent, guys, very soon. Of course we are. We're going to need one for Trent. Trent is there Trent one that we can look up on there? Let me see. No, there's a McAllister one. This one would have been good today. I mean, that is a McAllister one. And I tell you what, he was celebrating like that after his goal today. Not only do they do metal players, they do the player moments. And we're going to have a player moment of possibly the Endo goal, possibly the Trent winner, the Trent City goal. Make sure you guys go over and check them out, guys. These guys are amazing. They have got a Christmas code, 15% off. Go check them out. You type in REDFELLAS and you get 15% off all your any artwork or anything that you order. They've also got sort of metal printed gaming quotes and as well, if you're interested in that kind of thing. But listen, if you don't like the way I've explained it and you're confused, you click on that icon and you ask them anything you want, and they're more than willing and able to help you understand and get what you need. Type in REDFELLAS and you get 15% off. Let me repeat that, 15% off just to type in REDFELLAS. Amazing stuff. Go and check them out. Half time. And Cav, is there anything that you would do? Is there anything that we need to do? I was thinking, wow, we got away with that 2-2. We shouldn't be level. We should be ahead. We should have more control. To gain more control, do we need to make more subs, or do we just need the players that are already on the pitch to focus, or do we carry on going gung ho? And if it's a sling, what's the word? A gunsling match? How do they say? What's the word? What's the terminology? What?
They call it a
shootout.
they call it a shootout.
Yeah, okay. So if it's a shootout, we've got the more shooters and we'll outshoot you. Is that the way you wanted to go, or did you want your heart to be like a bit more rested and controlled?
No, I wanted control. I couldn't have another 45 minutes of this. Yeah. I was fuming at halftime, to be quite honest with you, because they say it's the hope that kills you, right? And I'm so excited about this team, and that lineup that was put out today. I thought, yeah, they'll go and do the job. And as the game's happening, we get pegged back twice, and you're just like, why? How? The players are there. The crowd's up for it. Anfield's bouncing. Some of the football's good, but we still conceded 2, and we still, got away with one with the offside. So, for me, it was like the only change I would have been happy with really is perhaps bringing on Gakpo for Nunes at halftime, just to help out in the midfield, possibly.
You would have taken off Nunes?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, just that was the only thing, and I didn't want any changes because I wanted everybody to go back out there and prove their worth, right? But I just thought maybe in that midfield area there was too much space at times, and Gakpo naturally likes to sort of drop in a bit more than Nunes does. And so I thought maybe that could help us just regain a little bit of control, because I felt if we had control in the game and we cut out the amount of sort of turnover of the ball, and Fulham, in fairness to them, they were winning a lot of duels in midfield, and they were able to, carry the ball down the pitch with that. I thought if we could cut that out and gain that control, we've got enough time and we've got enough quality to go on and win, even if we swap Gakpo for Nunes. So that was the only sort of thing I was thinking at halftime. But we didn't make any changes, and I was all right with that, because I just thought, you've seen what Fulham are about today. You've seen what they're going to offer, and if you thought this was a walk in the park, it really isn't. So go back out there and try and gain that control and gain control of the game in terms of the scoreline as well.
We didn't do that, Conroy. We didn't do that. We continued to play a bit of a gung ho type scenario, but I think we really pull off. We nearly pull off a brilliant goal with Mohamed Salah on the break. Times his pass very similar to the Newcastle goal, where he times his pass, puts it right into his path, and Darwin Núñez, just the way things are going for him, smashes the crossbar, underside of the crossbar or the crossbar. That would have been a brilliant goal, right? But it's just, I think Cav said last 5 games now, it's just not happening for him. It's too hit and miss. That's the way he is, right? How many times are we going to keep saying the same thing?
That's what we've said it before. Like, he'll score a lot of goals for Liverpool, but he'll miss a lot. That's just what he is. He will improve during that time. Don't get me wrong, but it is like I think I've seen him do that a few times for us. Actually, hit the underside of the bar or the post from that angle, try to go for power. It's actually quite unlucky. I think we criticise where it's due. I actually think that's an unlucky effort. It does hit the underside of the bar. That could have easily nestled in the net after hitting the bar. I think that one is unlucky. But I think just due to his moments, he maybe being not that calm, composed in front of goal, people just allude to that's him being rash when he gets in that position. I think that one was quite unlucky, to be honest, if we're being fair there. Again, it's the way it's going. Actually, if it went in, it would.
So then I want to skip.
Sorry. So I was just going to say, it reminded me a little bit of Torres against United. When he kind of just takes Ferdinand out the way, Ben Ayoun plays him through and hits it high and right in the net. If it goes in, it's kind of like that, to be honest, but unfortunately it doesn't.
I want to go on to the other one then, Conroy. I'll stick with you for a few seconds. How about the other chance then? Because that is rash. Because I think it's Mo plays him in again with a beautiful cushioned header. And that is a rash finish. That is someone who's maybe the first one's instinctive, where he's
Yep.
just smashed the daylights out of the ball and he's hit the crossbar. If it goes in, we say amazing finish, or we say unlucky. I'm not saying unlucky for the second one, because Mohamed Salah actually does amazing with a beautiful touch header into his path. He's got to do better there. That's somewhere where our man Diogo Jota slots it away pretty much 7-8 times out of 10.
Yeah, and that's the difference, Chris. I say the first one you can get the benefit of the doubt, but because of examples of finishing he's had this year already, you're going to just go, that's erratic, that's rash, it's lacking composure.
Erratic.
And the thing is, you know, he is like that. You're going to have games like that. It's not going to be the last time we'll see it. It will improve, but again, I don't think, I agree with you. I think it's erratic in that position, just lacks that kind of calm composure. That the thing for us, right, is people are always going to compare him to Haaland. He's probably not going to be on that level. But the thing with City is, they probably will be. Maybe it's a bad example, but there's examples where there's games where they will. Haaland can miss a few and they'll still win. Clearly, it feels like, I think some of the fans, especially in the chat, are worried today that the Luton miss, for example, the Liverpool go and win that game. How valuable is those 2 points going to be at the end of the season? And I think that's why everyone's starting to get a little bit, not panicky, but a bit, a bit anxious when he's getting his chances at the moment. And I think today's not a good one for him. Again, it's that, as Cav said earlier, just slowing it down in front of goal, being calm, being composed. You want to see that from your strikers, like you say from Jota, like you've seen from other strikers in the past, Fowler, even Owen to a certain extent. And you just feel that at this moment in time, with his current form, he's just thrashing it, because in his head it's like, if I hit this hard, it's a good chance of going in, playing the numbers, if you will.
I don't, guys. I know I think we're gonna have this conversation until his time is here. He's never gonna be. I'm telling you guys. I think. Look, there may be an element of improvement. Of course, there will be. He's a footballer. He's under great coaches. He's been given the environment, the circumstances around him that will improve his game, no doubt. I think his overall game has improved 20%, in my humble opinion. His all-round game. I just think his finishing will be his finishing. That's where he is. And people talk about, I get it. We're worried about his misses and crucial, but pretty much no other player scores the 2 goals against Newcastle that he scored. So he swings and roundabouts, He's always forever making runs off the back of people. Mohamed Salah doesn't play that role anymore, guys. He is our outlet now. We've got to accept that. 65th minute, we make the double substitution. At that stage, it looked like, oh gosh, we just need anything. We need one of the Fulham type goals to go in for us. It looks like, because the moves are not coming off, the shots are being saved, etc., etc. McAllister and Szoboszlai come off for Endo and Gakpo. Any thoughts on the substitutions at the time?
I'm generally pro anything that is load managing for Dominic Szoboszlai, because he's played a ridiculous amount of minutes before the turn of the year already this season for club and country. Lent on pretty heavily by club and country in terms of just the overall shift that he puts in and the role that he plays. Obviously, when you need a goal, you don't really want to take off Dominic Szoboszlai, but it's you're putting on, you get an equal threat in Gakpo, who has his own bag of skills. And I thought Gakpo's impact on the match was a net positive. I thought he came in and did things that the attack-minded midfielders have been doing well all game. I thought, sort of driving into space and taking the game to the opposition in a direct sort of fashion. McAllister, sort of same thing. I think you really have to be careful as you enter in December, load management and things. I know I'm not necessarily talking about the match at this point, but I do think it's worth saying, we don't want to burn these guys out too quickly, especially a guy like McAllister, who's already being not played out of position, but being played out of his role as we sort of understand him as a player. And I thought Endo and Gakpo did pretty well. Obviously, Endo with the telling contribution.
Sorry, my bad. Just a slight correction. Sorry, Mac and Szoboszlai off for Gakpo and Gomez. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
That's right, yeah.
Gomez having a good season. I think slotting in at left back, at right back, at center back, and he's done it all to a very acceptable level, in my opinion. And we've already talked about this when we gave Gomez a good rating in the player rating show. Yeah, he's bounced back in a major way. Obviously, the level of the team has risen over the summer, and he's risen with it, and the cream rises to the top. Joe Gomez is absolutely good enough to play for Liverpool. In my opinion, many people were questioning if that was the case at times last year, understandably, justifiably. And I do like when Gomez comes on and plays at right back, because that means our catalyst, our dynamo, our linchpin, our our everything, Trent Alexander-Arnold, gets to be a midfielder full time, and we ended up reaping the benefits of that.
Well, this is it, Kev, because that obviously involves that move, that dynamics change everything, and Trent ends up playing in McAllister's position. Gakpo joins him as well. The whole dynamic of the team changes. Obviously, Gomez goes to the orthodox fullback role. Did you see visions of Trent playing this role going forward? I'm sorry, it's the same old boring question, but it's going to be asked because there is going to be, or is it just a case of situations, being flexible, being the all-round great footballer there is, being able to sort of adjust his game accordingly? Is that the best way to go about it, though?
It depends on the game. And I think we had this conversation earlier on in the season. What do we do when it's not working and Trent is a little bit caught between two positions and they're exploiting that sort of our right-hand side? Do we stick or do we twist and put someone a bit more defensive in there, a la Gomez? And when it's going well, which is the scenario today, in my opinion, where he is the best player in midfield, he is getting on the ball, he's driving through midfield, he's getting in areas where he's affecting the game. And he looks like, you said it sort of when we started the show, he looked like he was on it today. And he was playing well. So it kind of, that substitution for me was just like, take the shackles off. Fine. Don't worry about the right side now defensively. Just get hold of that midfield and continue doing what you're doing, and maybe think a little bit more progressively and a bit more less going back the other way. As you were previously. So I think he earned that right to be given that freedom today based on how he was playing. And it worked effectively. But that is also credit to, Evan said it, Gomez having a good season and trusting him to come and step in and go as a right back and be confident in him, So I like that the sort of shackles were off a little bit. I wanted to see Trent with the freedom of the park. He looked like the man that had the quality and was having the game really that we wanted. So he was able to go and affect the game. I'm just trying to think. Gomez come on, and sorry, who was the other substitution at the time? I'm trying to remember.
So Gomez comes on. Gakpo comes on.
Gakpo comes on. So Gakpo, I wanted to see anyway, because I thought after his 2 goals in the week, the way he spoke after the game, you could kind of see like this urgency in him against Lax to get goals as well. He wants to sort of, and he's spoken, hasn't he, that he wants to improve this season. He wants to contribute more. And
I love his attitude. I love the way he's coming on. I love the way his attitude. If he doesn't start, his aura around him, his confidence, his almost, even for a young man, his leadership squad. I can't agree with you more. I think he's grown on me. I've openly admitted he wasn't I wasn't overly excited about him. I just thought for the price, it's a very solid signing. But I think he's going to become more than that.
Yeah, and that's what we needed in the game. We needed fresh legs, especially because I think Fulham had made a couple of substitutions on the 62nd minutes just beforehand, where they brought Tom Kearney and Willian. So they were sort of shifting things up. They were putting fresh energy into their side. And at this point in the game, both teams are battling it out. We're winning some duels. They're winning some duels. They're able to progress the ball between the lines and also carry the ball. We're doing the same. And if you're the team that's not making the substitutions and their fresh legs are coming on and hitting the ground running, they suddenly gain control, and we don't want that. So it was important to make subs just from fresh legs point of view, but also that little tactical switch. And you guys will have to help me out here, and because I can't remember exactly, but did that change make Mo more central? because at times I felt like we almost became a 4-4-2 where Salah was almost playing alongside Nunes at times. But I don't know if that was just as we found ourselves in the game or whether that was an actual tactical ploy that we set out. I don't know if we actually switched, but I thought Salah was finding himself more central once we made those switches.
Did you guys think that? I didn't notice it that clearly, like as in normal times when we make that switch. Because what we do to enable that switch normally is bring on Elliot to go on the right side, and then that enables Salah to go thing. I just thought the switches didn't really help us at the time. I know we get gone.
Or was it? I'm trying to think back. Or was it that where you have Trent and he's inverted, he's coming inside, whereas Gomez, when he's getting forward, he's often out wide and he's often overlapping, which is pushing Salah infield. It could have been that. But again, you know, if that was the tactical ploy, you have to give Klopp a bit of credit here because he's actually changing the angles of how we're attacking. And Gomez put a couple of good balls into the box from out wide, which wasn't happening previously. You know, a lot of it was coming centrally. So he was putting crosses in from wide and deep. So again, different players, different opportunities being created.
We praised Conroy Klopp's substitutions and tactical switches plenty of times this season. It looked like Silva had the upper hand this time because a couple of changes he makes are sort of part of the goal. Reed, who I believe scored a bloody winning goal against us a couple of seasons ago, if I remember rightly. A great finish as well. He came on, and I had a very bad feeling about this when he came on, and so it became reality when he at the far post out jumps Tsimikas, which can happen, but the central defender there's got to be more. Was it Virgil gets caught under the ball, would you say, or it's just a good cross and it's one of those things?
Yeah, I think I might be wrong, but I think is it Paulinho who gets the ball or a Fulham player first, and he beats, I think, our centre half. I think it's Khanage. Again, I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's far too easy. Beats him far too easy. Dinks across to the back post, and I also think Tsimikas gets beat far too easily. You're not always going to necessarily win the ball, but as a fullback, you need to be, because most fullbacks aren't 6'4" and built like a, you know, not like built like, you know, massive. They have to kind of put people off. I mean, Gary Neville made a career of putting players off in those positions. So it's not necessarily winning the header, but you just can't get out jumped so easily. And Reed isn't like 6'5" either. I think I don't know his height, but he's not a tall person either. So I think he just has to battle a bit, put him off there. It just doesn't do enough. And as you say, probably the position. For me, I think it is Khanage who gets beat. Might be Paulinho. I think that's a mistake, and then getting out jump's a mistake. And then you see Virgil's reaction as well. Just at that point, just fuming, as you would with any goal. But it did feel like a very soft goal to concede. I'm not saying you're annoyed with any goal, but see when someone tears you apart or they score a screamer, you can accept it. You know, we speak about the McAllister goal. I think even Marco Silva after the game said, these type of goals don't happen that often. You can learn to accept it in that moment. I think with that goal, if that had became the winning goal, I think it would have been deeply frustrating for what happened following the game with Man City.
All of the goals.
Yes, that would have been absolutely, I think, 80th minute that is as well. It would have been absolutely disheartening for the run we've been on, failing to capitalise with the Man City point last week, and just to kind of be like a damp squib, just losing like that. I think that would have been very disheartening for that group of players. So that was probably that annoyed me the most, that goal, funnily enough. I know you might think why, but that really annoyed me because I just felt they got into that position far too easily. And something we've said this season, you talk about concentration. Felt like overall this game, defensively, our concentration, I think, Evan, you mentioned it earlier with the first two goals, we just were not on it with that frame of mind or something that's been very good. I just was not good at all today.
I don't like that guy, you know, that decode over Reed. He was the guy that scored when they beat us 1-0 last time, wasn't it? At Anfield.
He was the guy.
Yeah, I have bad memories.
I don't like this guy. I've got PTSD, but when this guy was coming on, I said, "Don't you dare!"
He's just cut from the same cloth as like Dwight.
He's American,
Gale.
right?
I don't know, but he's cut from that same Dwight Gale cloth of like he's this championship star who bounces up to the Premier League from time to time, dunks on Liverpool when he really has no business doing so. And I just want to expand. Yeah, I just want to expand on what Conroy said. I mean, this is Hall of Shame stuff from Khanage and Tsimikas. This is unacceptable. This is the Premier League. Khanage he neither engages nor closes the angle. He ends up doing nothing. You know, when people get caught in two minds, they end up doing nothing. Neither a cross nor a shot, neither a clearance nor a pass. He does that without actually engaging with the ball in any meaningful way. And then Kostas Tsimikas, I slandered him. I was just so upset. You know, because I thought he'd been defensively great all game, and then he gets dunked on by D. Cordova Reed. That's just not okay. Like, this is the Premier League. That cannot be happening. I already have some concerns about his lack of a sort of standout physical attribute, and he's a fullback in the Premier League. That makes me nervous. That's not how I'd go about recruiting fullbacks, but I'm just some dude on the internet. But he does have a redemption moment towards the end that I want to touch on. But yeah, I want to amplify Conroy's disgust with my own. I just that's the type of goal that you go to bed thinking about if the result doesn't end up going your way.
Yeah. Matty Latty says, my dad spoke to Bobby Reed's mum on Friday night, actually. Aha. He's a Bristol boy. There you go. Amazing. I'm going to stick with you, Ev, because, you know, we've seen, we've seen that great meme or clips of, you know, when Liverpool are down to Barcelona and they need a winning goal, and Gini Wijnaldum comes running on to the pitch, the substitution that changes it. Well, at that point, Endo comes on for Gravenberch, who, look, Gravenberch started off very well, neat and tidy, but he's dying off in games, and I want him to. We need him to last 90 minutes. You know, he dies off. He was disappeared in that second half. We need to see more of Gravenberch, but we won't touch it. We won't dwell upon it yet. Endo comes on for Gravenberch. Eyebrows are raised. A lot of people tweeted, and I know I'm not going to call them out. They're like, "Oh, that'll change it." You know, well, boy, it does change it, because Endo comes on, and before that, it looks like it's not going to be our day, actually, Ev, because Mohamed Salah misses a chance that Nunes missed at Luton. Possibly even worse or as worse. I don't know what your views are. Was you struggling at that point? I know it's early in the morning for you. Do you want to go back to sleep at that point?
Yeah, definitely. I thought the miss at Luton was worse, to be honest. And this type of game, I thought it was so cruel that Nunez and Salah hadn't ended up on the score sheet at that point, because I thought they had done so well between each other. In terms of general play, that was Nunez's best game in a Liverpool shirt, in my opinion. In terms of laying off the ball, holding up the ball, knowing where his teammates are at, in terms of linking things up and making things tick, his best performance in the Liverpool's team, in Liverpool's system, I thought that was Nunez's most comfortable, most confident, most effective performance, and he just couldn't finish. Same could be said of Salah, who tees up Nunez, a few times, and Salah seems to create chances so effortlessly. But I do think the Luton miss was worse. And at that point, Grizz, I didn't have any sort of visceral reaction to the Salah miss, because I was already so disgusted in which the manner we had at that time I had considered thrown points away. Not only drop points, but we're looking to be losing the game, I believe, at that point. It's just one of those things where you're already in the depths. You can't sigh, you can't groan, you can't shout, because you've already done it. You have no more feeling positive and or negative to give this match. But yeah, you don't. If I can expand on that to a more macro level, our finishing does have to improve. In the last 30 days or so, it's been nowhere near good enough in multiple fixtures. You don't get to 90 points finishing like that. You don't make domestic cup runs finishing like that. You don't go deep in Europe finishing like that. It's just the law of the land. It's the law of the game. And eventually we will reach a point where we're meeting our XG, or whatever you want to call it, where we're taking advantage of what we're good at, which is creating chances. But let's hope we're going to stem the bleeding at some point, because we can't go into the busy Christmas period, especially when I'm going to Anfield finishing like that. So fix up, because
breaking news. Okay.
yeah, soccer god's coming to town, and I would like to see a glut of goals, because that's what I got last time I went to Anfield, and I don't want to be disappointed.
There you go. There you go. Big up Menace and the Monk who's in the building. Manas here. He says, "What a weekend." Dostor means mates. What a weekend, mates. Mazagya. Pleasure. Yeah, loads of pleasure. Something like that. My translation is crap as some of the press conferences Jurgen Klopp's involved in, so forgive me. But basically, he's jubilant, and what a weekend of action. He's saying, "Big up, Manas. Hope you're doing well, my friend." 2 minutes, Cav, of absolute pleasure. Where have you heard that before? Pause. Amazing turnaround. 2 minutes is all it takes for Liverpool sometimes. This Anfield, this crowd, levels of... I mean, I know Conroy said we don't see games like this very often. We're never going to see games like this, but we do at Anfield. Liverpool are involved in way too many, maybe, or that's part of our... It's part of our heritage. It's part of our mythical standing. We do this kind of shit, Gav. Like we're 3-2 down, and it's 3 minutes to go, and Salah's missing chances, and Nunes is missing chances, and Endo's coming on to be the savior. Yet here he is, Salah again with one of those lovely cushion laybacks. And it's not McAllister or Sabozalai or Diaz or Gravenberch or Trent who's about to caress the ball in the top corner. It's Endo. Make of that what you will.
I don't know how we do it. It shouldn't be a surprise anymore. Like, we've all followed Liverpool for long enough. Like, you just have to believe to the very end, because it happens. I don't know how, it just does. And you know what? Endo saved Christmas in this house, because when that decode overraid goal went in, the lights were coming off the tree. Like, everything was get the boxes back out. The tree's coming down. We ain't doing Christmas this year. It's cancelled. Liverpool are going to put me through it yet again. But look, the ball goes up to Nunes. He heads it down. Evan talks about his link-up play and how it was one of his better games in that respect. The header was great. The header was, pinpoint, headed down to Salah. A little bit of a tussle in there, but he lays it back to Endo, and he just curls it into the top corner. It's a brilliant finish. It's exactly the right technique. It's the right option to take, where he finds himself on the edge of the 18-yard box. And at that point, you're just like, oh boy, it's going to be one of them. Christmas is here. It's cold inside Anfield. The crowd needs something to get them warm, get them chanting, get them bouncing off each other. We're in for that season again. This okay. Here we go. And that goal, it sets the not the tempo, because we're pushing, but it sets it up for the final finish. And it didn't come too long after that. So great goal by Endo. Great for him, to be honest with you, coming into games. Impacting games, as well as the goal. I thought he really helped out in midfield as well. Actually, I think his passing's been really sharp and crisp and clean since he's come in. His defensive is a bit hit and miss for me, but actually I thought it was quite strong when he was in there today. And he came in and somewhat cemented the midfield and allowed us to continue that momentum to go for the final goal. To be there on the edge of the 18-yard box and stick it away is just brilliant for him. And I think I seen one of the comments in the chat earlier saying that when he arrived and he was walking around, I think he was in the dressing room, Klopp goes up to him and says, we're going to need you. We've got a lot of offensive players. We're going to need you. And I don't think he quite expected, I'm going to need you to stick him in the top corner like that. But if he does it, happy days. Exactly.
Like Pixlate says, Endo turning up with a top-tier banger was not on my bingo card. I don't think it was in anyone's, but he's got it in him, guys. I think he's got a very decent technique. I've seen him score a couple of goals like that in the Bundesliga as well, where he's on the edge of the box and he puts it into the corner. He's not a pile driver, striker type of the ball. He's a placer with very much like that. So he's got it in him. Con, like literally a minute later, I've looked. Okay, guys, do you know when you see goals like this, we don't remember the build-up. We only remember, I'm doing too many innuendos, so I'm not going to go here. I'm not going to go there. I'm doing too many innuendos. What's the matter with me? You're a nice man now. Right, anyway, I looked back at the goal, and it's quite a lovely goal. What goal? Like, you know, we don't panic. We still play our football, even though it's frenetic and we're trying to get the ball up there very quickly. Our forwards, as we've all discussed, have an off day, but I do like the way our forwards still are involved and keep the ball in play. We're very good at that at our best, keeping the ball in play, keep it circulating. And it's that man again, second week in a row, making the most valuable contribution to the game. I want to ask you though, a lot of people suggesting, was that a foul by Simicas on Decisive Reed again? Was it on Decisive Reed, or was it on a bit of payback there, guys? Poetic justice.
Yeah. Not for me. I mean,
No?
I think it's one of them. It is a contact sport at the end of the day. I might have to look at it again. I think it's one of them. Like, if that's not blown at the time, it's like there is contact in the game.
I thought it's gonna be looked at. I thought if Fulham were vocal enough, I mean, he appealed, no one else backed him. Guys, I'm gonna hold my hands up. I thought it was a foul. I don't give a shit though.
No, but the thing is, Chris, like every goal's looked at. I think at the end of the day, it's like it's got to be like an obvious error. Like it's like, you know, it's like a massive foul to overturn it, and I don't think that was ever going to happen because Shimikas got the assist. So if you even look at it from that point of view, he wins the header. So it's not even if you could say Cordova Reed wins the ball and then he contacts him. So I think the fact he actually got the touch as well, I never thought that was going to get overturned, to be honest. But like, you know, fair enough. I think it's a bit of payback. Yeah, I think you're right. He obviously wanted to be involved. It's probably the luckiest assist he'll ever get in his life. There's been a few assists like that for us recently. It reminded me, I think, even Salah's earlier. You were saying it's a cushion pass. It's literally it's a 2-yard pass at the edge of the box.
It's a lovely cushion pass. Honestly, 1 yard like, cushion pass.
Yeah, like it's one out for Trent Leicester last season. The 1 yard pass. What assist? It's like sometimes that's the way assists work with the stats. We're talking about Trent with a free kick, how it's not going to count as his goal. But Shimikas is going to get assists when he probably wasn't even aware of where Trent is. But that's the way it goes. But when it lands to Trent's feet,
there's no one better, right? It couldn't have landed at anyone better, right?
No, that's what you want. Game changer. And that's what I think a lot of people in the comments today said his attitudes change. It's not his ability, not him being a brilliant footballer. It's maybe he's got the attitude now, the mentality that I can be the main man here. There can be a few in a team, and I think that just having that confidence as well to reverse it into that corner. You remember a couple of weeks ago we spoke about his goal against Aston Villa in the COVID season, you know, the last minute where he gets the ball similar area but hits it in the opposite corner. To reverse it into that corner, I think as well, it shows the confidence but also the intelligence. He's looking at what's in front of him and he's not just hitting hope. He's actually calculating, right, where's the best chance I've got for it to go in the back of the net here, and I think it's a excellent finish. It is the celebration. We're all going to give comparisons to Gerrard, but it is like, you know, the Olympiacos, oh yeah, beauty, you know, when he does that into the corner, and just it was stupendous, and it was a great moment. And I imagine the fans in the stadium were probably losing it, to be honest, and it really was. Man City goal was a big moment for us as a team. Before that game, we'd said, Grizz, to lay a glove on City. This was about actually capitalising and showing, no, we're in a title race here. I think that was that goal today for me, because if you don't follow up with last week, you kind of, it's flat, feelings flat. We come back to the next game. We've got, Sheffield United Palace. We're probably worried we're going to drop points with Kelleher being in goals as well. We're a bit like, oh, but with that win, we can keep that positive attitude and kind of crack on now. So I think we might look back at the end of the season, hopefully I'll touch wood now, and this could be a huge moment. And I think, yeah, he's getting quite a few big moments now, Trent, in important times, because it's not as if that's the 5th minute in the game. It's not as if it's the 65th minute. That's close to the last kick of the game, probably the best chance we're going to get, bottom corner. What a moment. And I do feel a little bit sorry for Bert Leno today, to be perfectly honest, Chris. He's had 3 goals, and I think they're all outside the box have went in. So
that's after getting smashed in the eye.
Exactly.
Well, you know, being pretty much knocked out for about 10 minutes on the pitch. Black Princes, I think, revisiting pastures past. Hendo was a 10 out of 10 from me today. Hendo was breathed back life into the team today. Well, I'd love to credit Hendo, but I think it's Endo, Black Prince, that you're talking about.
Old habits die hard.
Old habits die hard. But guys, scenes at the end, the celebration's mental. That's what we like to see. That's what we like to feel. The energy around the stadium. Go on, Nav, you was going to say something.
I just want to say, because I was still seething at Kostas Tsimikas for the De Cordova goal. And then for the goal, he could feel my contempt and hatred from a world away, thousands of miles away, and he just clatters. I'm a huge fan of that. He just clatters De Cordova Reed. It's just like, you know what? Whatever happens is I'm not going to let that last thing go unpunished. I'm going to leave here with something. And Grizz, I'm with Conroy in the sense that I didn't think that it would get called back for that, because that, for me, that's not clear and conclusive. It's one of those you've seen those given type sort of things. What I was nervous about was Darwin Nunez onside from Gakpo's initial shot, because Nunez has a great he's the one who hoists it back into the box towards Tsimikas and Trent from the rebound, but it was so marginal when they were showing they didn't on the broadcast, they didn't pause and draw lines, or we didn't see any of that, but I think they did bring out the lines for it. Go back and look at it, because it was close, sliding doors. But
we let it pass. Look,
just the little thing for the chat, right? Go on whatever you use for social media and search for the celebration for the Trent goal, because it's so funny. Every single player, bar Nunez, runs over to the corner flag, and everyone just slides. Knee slides.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Slides.
It's synchronized.
It's just everybody's just coming into the shot like horizontal. It's so funny.
But continuing the mentalist scenes that Nunez is always involved in at the end of the games, it continues this one, because you're right, Cav. That's a brilliant scene. It's like synchronized knee sliders coming into the picture, right? And then Nunez, the mad bastard, he's running off in the total opposite direction on his own. So what's he doing? No one knows. But apparently he's running off to Klopp and I can't remember who else was on the subs bench and just celebrating with them. So he's a mad bastard. We're a mad bastard team. We do shit like this. I personally believe, guys, I believe we got away with one. As I said, many people argued with me today in my friends' chat. They started showing me 62% possession, 26 shots, 9 on target compared to 2 or something, whatever. I just thought we got away with one, but there's nothing better than getting away with one and winning it at the same time when you know you haven't performed at your level. We're going to need to perform at our level. We're picking up a couple of injuries. We've been lucky, and everyone thinks we're the team that's been lucky with injuries. Suddenly, there's about 5-6 key injuries. Jota is a key injury. Alisson is a major injury. Thiago, whatever. Bejitic, whatever. Pretty much to a certain extent. Now, Matip. Look, there's a super chat. I forgot to bring up the other. Yo, what's good? Says Matip. Do we need centre back January? Or are we good? I can't look. We've got 4 now. We had 5. Now we're down to 4 because apparently Jurgen Klopp has said Matip's is quite serious. As usual with the case, when Matip picks up an injury, it's usually a couple of months at least. But time for Kwanzaa and Gomez to continue the form they've been showing. Konate's form has been a bit iffy. Maybe this will be the lift and confidence he needs and a bit of rhythm. We're good, right? Centre backs, one area we should be okay in, guys. Anyone?
Well, I think adding Andy Robertson as well into that, because he plays at left back, but if you want Gomez to step in at centre back, he then can't play left back as well. He then can't play right back to cover Trent. So we are getting a little bit spread thin. But Kwanzaa stepped up this season when he's been asked the question, and if it comes down to it, he might have to play in the Premier League games. And I'm confident in the kid. I think he's got he's a really good player and he's improving every time he steps out. Seems to be handling the occasions well. I just think come January, hopefully we'll have some of these guys back. So
100%, yeah. I mean, look, we'd like to think Robertson's not far off now. Alisson should be touching. It's going to be touch and go for the United game. Jota's the one. You guys know what I think of Jota. I think we all agree. I hate it when Jota's missing. I hate it. I just want him as an option, even if it might not be great. How many times have I said about it? Jota is goals. And today was a game where we missed someone like Jota. But look, guys, we move on to midweek. No Europa League this week. Very important again. We're in a title race now, guys. This is it now. We're ahead of City. We didn't expect to be ahead of City. Did we? At this stage, I didn't expect to be ahead of City. But we are where we are. Arsenal, some people may have their own opinions on Arsenal. I believe Arsenal are in a title race. I believe Arsenal are good enough to be in a title race this season. It's a three-way battle, in my opinion. Let's see how it goes. A crucial period coming up. Sheffield United away, Crystal Palace away, Conroy. It's got to be 6 points out of 6 if we're being really serious and honest.
Yeah, well, it probably has to be. I think it definitely has to be. I would say Palace losing to Luton, just there as well. That was quite a surprise as well, to be honest. I don't know. Palace you need to watch when you've got people like Michael Elise, Eze. They have got some skillful players, but we just need to get the job done. Like a bit like today, we just need to get two wins from 2 to really cement this claim of what we can do this season. And if you'd said to me, get through this run, we're 2 points behind Arsenal, and we have Palace and Sheffield United, and then City, I think, have Aston Villa away. We really need to stake some pressure on other teams around.
No Rodri away to Villa.
So we have must win these games. Must wins for me. They're 2 must wins. And Sheffield United have been very poor. But the one thing I would say, guys, is look at the Luton performance. We cannot get complacent. That's very important.
West Ham, Crystal Palace were away to West Ham today, Conroy. It was 1-1. Not Luton.
Oh, sorry. Luton last weekend and then a draw today with West Ham. They've not been playing amazing, but Palace is still a hard game.
Very quickly, I'm just going to look at the lineup, and Elise did play. Yeah, Elise did play. So look, it's going to be tough. Sheffield United, we deal with one thing at a time. Sheffield United away. We know our record against the lower teams, so to speak. We've got to put that right. We've got to take confidence into after today. We know we played at 60%, but we won. We keep it moving. It's getting exciting. We won't speak too much on the Arsenal draw. Just quickly I won't ask Evan because he don't give a shit about domestic cups. Cav, Arsenal away. We just didn't need that, man. Just horrible draw. Horrible.
No, but it's in February, isn't it? So hopefully
Jan.
It's in January. Well, hopefully Jota's back and normal orders resume. Just going to the Emirates. Jota gets his customary goals and we cruise on through. You don't want a Premier League away fixture for the FA Cup, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, we're just going to have to go there and handle our business. But just on this period between now and then, it's winter, it's cold. This is where you get injuries. This is where it tests your squad. You're playing regular football, Premier League games starting now in the week. If you're going to sustain a title challenge, every man that's available has got to contribute. And luckily for us, the so-called fringe players, bench players, call it what you will, Elliott's coming on, playing well. Endo's come on, played well. Gomez has stepped up. So luckily, these players that are sort of just below the starting 11, so to speak, are I
just want them as options.
And we're going to need them. We're going to need them. And I don't know about you guys, but just before we finish up, Klopp went over to the Kop today and did his three pumps in the air and got the cheer. But the roar at the end I thought was a little bit longer than usual, and I don't know if I'm reading into things here, but I can just feel this sense of, coming together, that power of Anfield coming back and that something's happening, so I was watching Klopp when he went over to the...
Anfield takes care of itself, Cav. We need to take care of the away trips, the road trips to Sheffield United and Palace are key. I'm pretty confident of Arsenal and United at home after those 2 trips. It's just these 2 trips. Evan, I was going to ask you about something. I can't remember what I was going to ask you about now.
Something to do with Simicast, probably.
No. Leave him out. He's just recovered, man. Leave him out. Don't, because then Conroy will start on Robertson, and but so they'll start numbers. But very, very quickly, Redfellas don't really speak about other teams, but Man City Spurs was a bit fun, wasn't it?
Definitely was. I mean, we lamented Nunez's finishing today. Erling Haaland had a very Darwin-esque day in front of goal.
He's had
as well, doing Yeah, he's had a couple. We all remember the one in the Community Shield a few years ago. It's yeah, that was an interesting game. I mean, we talk a lot about bogey teams and Liverpool's bogey
Wow.
team.
It's crazy. How does football work
Spurs
like
and
this?
City, multiple
How?
managers. Spurs under multiple managers, home and away, just seemingly have Man City's number. They are just hacking computers, finding things
Guys,
out.
how does it work like that?
They have the script. They have the script. I just don't know.
Emerson Royale and Davis, what's his first name? The Welsh centre back.
Ben Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben Davis and Emerson Royale at centre back, guys.
It's just
The sport
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
make
crazy.
sense. Like
Sport
just
doesn't make sense.
when you think you have like a good matchup and you're like, oh well, that's going to be a glut of goals. And to be honest, it could have been. City were just sort of throwing away chances in the
Chance
first half.
after chance after
At one point, it looked like it was going to be 5-1 to City before
That was my
the
prediction.
whistle blew. Yeah.
The thing about Postecoglou though is he'll stand by. Like, he did tweak a little bit second half. So this notion that he doesn't adapt in games, that's not true. But you've got to give it to them. Like, he has players had 0 centre backs today, and they will go for it. Like, it's people will call it daft, but to be perfectly honest, they've got a free draw because they just kept going. Yeah, because then the commentary are saying, Bissouma's gave the ball away. That's it. You're their own worst enemy. And then Brennan Johnson cuts in crosses. Kulusevski scores a header, and then it's like the stadium's silenced, and it's like there's so much kind of negative attitude towards what he wants to do, but the way he sees it is, and I think he's got a point. It's like managers play defensive football and negative football, and they say we've not got the players. Well, he had every excuse not to play that way with the players. He literally didn't have a centre back, and he would still play that way. Now, don't get me wrong, Spurs can get hammered, but I'm going to be kind of devil's advocate here. The only game they got hammered in is when they had 9 men. So if you look at like they've not got a lot of players now. If you look at what is Aston Villa last week, very unlucky to lose that. Whilst they lost in the last minute. So if you're looking at it as a whole thing, you could argue that they've not got battered by anybody. The only time they got battered was by Chelsea when they had 9 men, which I understand that is a bit crazy playing a high line with 9 men. But I respect it, to be honest.
No, I respect it. Look, I take the mick because the way he just says mate at every possible junction, and sort of every sentence. But look, fair play to him. It's exciting. Look, Spurs are never going to win anything anyway, right? Ever. They're never going to win anything anyway. Just enjoy your football at least, right? That's what the fans ask for. Guys, did you guys see the end bit though, where the Grealish is clean through? Guys, have you seen it?
Unbelievable.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. But listen, let them laugh. We laugh at them. We don't give a shit. We'll watch it from afar. We've had shit like that happen to us. Do you remember Mane threw against United was it in the COVID season, I think? So yeah, apparently this is the same guy that gave the crazy decisions against us in the Spurs game. So people are saying he's a Spurs fan. But it is. Listen, we can laugh this week, but let's not laugh too much because we've been burnt like this as well. Guys, thank you so much for sticking with us. 300 of you are still in here. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Share. Tell people about us. We're here. We're back. Just like Liverpool are here and back. And Liverpool are here to stay in this title race. Let me tell you that. We've been speaking on it a few weeks, but I think we're feeling it all now. Even Cavs suggesting he felt something today in that crowd and that whole vibe and buzz. Long may it continue. Don't forget to check out our channel sponsors, yourfutcard.com. Use code REDFELLAS for a 15% discount. This has been REDFELLAS Sunday night. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm. Bye-bye.